Reminder to everyone coming in, if you'd like to make a member comment, please fill out the form and turn it into Harmony. Thank you.
Talk about the
What? Oh, that's fine. Are we ready? Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Art, Bedminster, Art. Would you mind leading us in the pledge? Harmony, can we have verification of quorum, please?
Yes, Director Alex Cook,
Here.
Director Van Vliet,
Here.
Director Doherty,
Here.
Director Tim Cook,
Here.
President Griffiths.
Here.
5 present, quorum met.
Thank you. And can we have an approval of the minutes for our December 6th meeting?
Motion approved. Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes for December 6th meeting, say aye.
Aye. Aye. Abstain, I wasn't here.
4 in favor, 1 abstention, motion carried.
Public officials, I thought I saw 2. I do see 2. We'll start with 3. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we're going to start with President Darcy Burke, if that's no. Okay, so amazing Darcy Burke.
President Griffiths, board, staff, residents and guests. I don't know who's doing that. Okay. Okay, let me try that again. Oh, well, anyway, we rotate our officer positions every year. So Director Andy Morris from Division 5 is our president this year. As I reported last month, unfortunately, Director Phil Williams passed away unexpectedly. His services are actually at Elsinore High School on this Sunday at 1 p.m. I know many of you knew him and were engaged with him on many levels throughout the community. So I'll make you aware. Next Thursday, January 12th, we'll select his replacement. So I was told today we have 6 applicants in. I don't know who they are. They will be vetted through an ad hoc committee, and then 5 or fewer will be brought forward, depending, 1, to make sure they're eligible, and 2, to see how they do through the first round. So our hope is to fill that position by next Thursday. If we're not able to come to consensus, we'll have a special meeting on the 19th of January. By statute, we have to fill that position by January 20th, or the Board of Supervisors makes the selection for us. So we're pretty good about coming to consensus. So I'm very hopeful. During December, I had the opportunity to attend the Colorado River Water Users Conference. And unlike the California man-made drought that we dealt with the last year, the Colorado River is extremely stressed. About 44 million people depend on the Colorado River, including about 14 sovereign tribes, 9 states, upper and lower basin. They're all managed differently, upper from lower. And they are looking at, unless we have some type of meteorological miracle this year, an 85% cutback to Southern California. So let's kind of do some math. This region is 70% dependent on imported water. We get our water from two places, the State Water Project, which comes from Lake Oroville through the Sacramento San Joaquin Bay Delta, down through the Central Valley and then delivered to us, and from the Colorado River, and which has worked out to be a great resource for us. When one doesn't have enough, the other always did. Right now, our water allocation from the governor is 5% from the State Water Project. Even though snowpack is at 177%, we have a lot of water content in that snow, which is also good news, but he's letting almost 200,000 acre feet of water go out underneath the Golden Gate Bridge already. So if that doesn't improve and we get to a much higher number, and the Colorado River has no choice because we will not have the intake to pull water out, and we'll have an 85% cutback, it's going to be extreme measures. And I'm not just going to say water use efficiency or drought or cutback. It's going to be extreme measures on where we get the water. So we've been very blessed in this region, not only to have a great resources in Canyon Lake, which we haven't been able to use for 2 years, and you're looking at least another 3 to 4 years. That may change. We may have to take measures where we have to turn the pumps on. I know, Art, you're not going to like that, but drinking water is better than no water. So we're working really hard with our sister agencies in the region to come up with alternatives, looking to purchase and buy into the Doheny Ocean Desal project, which we'll be able to trade water for. We're looking at projects where we'll be able to capture more water actually that we have rights to in the region off the Santa Ana River. Everything is on the table, but that also means that cheap water is over. And it's not just about the water, it's water service. So if you're getting runoff, the process to treat that water is much more expensive than if I can pull it out of the ground or I can move it through canals from the Sacramento Bay area. So I just want people to be aware. I'm going to probably come back and tell you we're going to have a rate increase. It's not anything I take lightly, but cheap water is more expensive. In the long run, it's delayed repair and replacement. It's not being able to buy water because we may have to compete for others on the open market. So I'm going to ask you just to do right now, no one's sprinklers should be on. No one. I mean, how much? But no one's sprinklers should be on. The dam is overflowing, which makes Lake Elsinore very happy. So we just need to be aware of it. And I'm just going to ask you to be, for just a while, be very cautious and just use it wisely. We're not in dire situations yet, but I like to tell you what may be coming. I don't like to surprise you with bad news. I'd rather be talking to you about it for a year and then we figure out what we're going to do. The last thing I just wanted to mention one comment that you had in your load carrying study. There was a reference that through erosion and turbidity, it's an increased probability for hazardous algae bloom. That's actually true, but the reality is it's really all algae blooms. Not all algae blooms are hazardous. And I noticed that the gentleman was from Idaho, and that may be a much more prevalent item where he is compared to where we are. So just be aware, and I talk about that all the time. You want to prevent algae, we got to reduce runoff. So it really makes not a lot of difference. I don't know how much erosion played into that process or what that will make into your decision making, but we have a lot of resources that our staff has collected over the years on erosion and the impact to the lake and water quality. And I don't believe we were contacted. So maybe in the future, your contractor might want to reach out and have a conversation, just so that we're making sure we're sharing information. Trying to think if there's anything earth pressing. There'll be a lot coming up. We are applying for a grant. We'll take action next Thursday for the Canyon Lake Water Treatment Plant. When I first got on the board 4 years ago, it was a $28 million project. We're at $52 million now. And the grant would be for about $47 million. And through the generosity of Congressman Ken Calvert, we have a line item that we received for $3 million. So the gap is closing. The idea is to obviously lessen the financial impact to all of our residents. And that allows us to invest in other things to help us to grow and thrive. That's all I have tonight, President Griffiths. Any questions? Oh, thank you. Yes, Mayor Jeremy Smith. Mayor Smith was reaffirmed for another year. We will be hosting coffee at the Country Club at 7:30 next Wednesday. And I believe next month in February, we're going to look to add an evening event too, because I know a lot of people work and they just can't make it in the morning. So also, if you have questions and you can't make it or concerns, my phone number is literally everywhere. People text me, call me, I promise I'll call you back. Is there anything? Thank you.
Shada. And we have two, I see a head shaking. I'll just sort out, is there anyone from the city that would like to come and speak? Okay, I just wanted to make certain of that. So we're going to move on. We don't have any presentations scheduled, but we do have an announcement. So I'm going to ask Director Van Vliet.
Thank you, Renee. About 6 months ago, we formed a new security advisory committee in the community, and it consists of a group, pardon my voice, of very talented individuals, many from law enforcement, careers in security, industrial security, and so forth. And they've been meeting on thinking of ways to try and help the security environment and ideas both for the POA, but also for homeowners. And one of the things that they've come up with that is being rolled out that we would like your help in to help keep Canyon Lake safe is to work with the POA board, with the Riverside Sheriff's Department, the City of Canyon Lake, and the Security Advisory Committee to participate in our Canyon Lake camera program. This is a new opportunity that allows all of the residents to register that you have a camera system on your house. It may be a doorbell camera. It might be a Ring camera or a Nest or some other type of video camera that you have where you just provide insight or awareness of what's going on in your area. When you register for it, what it says is you're notifying the community that if there is an event, an incident in your neighborhood, that you would be willing to be contacted to allow a law enforcement or POA individual to review some of your video. It's all, you retain the full control, but it allows you to again help if there's a criminal incident and do that. So whatever occurs, the King Lake POA or the law enforcement may contact you to review the video footage. If you look on the screen here, it's been advertised on our weekly newsletter. It's been advertised on the website and so forth. If you go to www.clpoa.com/cameras, it's pretty easy. It's just a couple of clicks to sign up and you can do it. What that allows us to do is, again, when something happens, we'll contact you. And how it helps law enforcement is when an incident happens with law enforcement, they will often have to go door to door to see if anybody saw anything and so forth. This helps decrease the time that's required and get the information out sooner. So we'd like your participation. And if you're willing to participate, we strongly encourage all of our residents to help. This is a way for us for neighbors to help neighbors.
Thank you. And with that, as Bill already said, it's for permission to come and ask to look at it. It's not giving them authorization. They can come to your door and say, there was an incident. Can we look at your footage? You can say no, but it's just having everyone registered. So if you're not on our newsletters, just another reminder to sign up for our newsletters. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram. It's been posted there. Friday Flyer's written a couple articles that were really good and gives information there as well. So thank you for that. And we're going to go on to member comments. I know there are some. How many?
Yes, we have 9. Our first is
Perfect.
Art Femister.
Thing there. Well, first, a happy new year, everybody. Hope you had a happy holiday, and thank you to the POA staff from Eric all the way down for making the wonderful holiday season again that we always do inside Canyon Lake. So I wanted to speak tonight about the issue of the proposal. I understand it's just a proposal to put on the ballot future 4-year terms for the board members. I want to give you my feedback, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of people, which is why it's never passed, on why it's perhaps not a good idea, at least our opinion on that, but we respect your right to do that and of course vote on it. But if it does get on there, then there'll probably be more opposition as it gets closer to May. So just want to share that with you. So I've been here 8 years, a little bit over 8 years, a couple of months past that. And other than this board, and I'm not saying just because I'm sitting in front of you, I've typed this on Facebook and I stand by it. you're the least drama board. In fact, there's not really any drama. I mean, you know, there's always something going on that. So far, so good on that thing. Things could change, you never know, but on that. So when we first got here, the first board that was there decided not to pay the lake lease. 3 board members out of 5 said, we're not going to pay the lake lease anymore. This would be the best negotiating strategy we have against the EVMW, multi-gazillion dollar, you know, public corporation on side there, and our little puny POA is going to stand up against them. So that almost turned into a physical brawl inside this room. People were standing up and everything. I got real crazy. Another member of that same board verbally assaulted a female member on a hot mic as she was approaching the board. That caused problem. That led to, and I kid you not, just cleaning out this weekend on stuff like that, from July 31st, 2015, the Friday Flyer headline, members call for recall of directors. Here it is. See yourself on that. It led to that. Then there's some more shenanigans went on with that board. And then we walked inside here and there were 3 community patrol officers there, 3 community patrol officers there, and a sworn deputy sheriff armed in the back of the room. That's what it took to maintain control, because we're threats of violence against the board because they were so agitated, the community against them. That's pretty bad. Think about that. You have to hire armed security inside to do that. That's not a good situation. That board kind of phased out, and then a new board came in, was kind of blended from the past and the future on that, going back to memory lane here. And then we had the famous vote swapping, where all the members agreed what they're going to vote on, and then they got up there and they changed it. Whether it was done just magically at the spur of the moment or a backroom deal, we don't know. But that was where one person voted for his pet project, the other person decided, I'll vote not to raise the fees to cover the future reserves, something he's never done before. Well, and what happened to the next board that comes up? That board then had a fight with that and then had to raise the rates even more because the proper reserves weren't there. So it just kind of spirals and spirals from there. And then we had the flag issue. We all remember that. The flag is going to assault me, take it down. Yeah, we all remember that fun time on side there. And that was just like in the first 6 years. So it's not the policy you're talking about, because I actually have a solution that I think will meet your needs on that. My suggestion, it's the people issue on that. You have people in there that you don't know. The thought of giving any one of those people that did any of these things 4-year terms on that.
So sorry, Art, we hit the 3-minute mark.
Okay, can I just give you the idea then?
Can you email it to
Okay,
me? Because
sure.
I'm most fascinated. Actually, email the board. That would be really good. Or if you're going to stay the whole meeting afterwards.
Or can I just say it real fast? The solution would be 4 2-year terms. That will accomplish your goal. 4 2-year terms. If you want 8 years, then every 2 years you get reapproved by the community. That's what it comes down to.
All
So
right.
that's my suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New
Thank
Year,
you.
everybody.
Happy New
Appreciate
Year.
time.
Next is Chuck Moreno.
Chuck Moreno, 3846-330. I'm here tonight to oppose the addition of 2 additional pickleball courts at the Eastport Launch Ramp parking lot. I have nothing against people playing pickleball. I think it's a great sport activity for young and old. Okay? Nothing against it. However, stealing a parking lot that is used for boat and trailer parking is wrong, okay? No matter how you look at it. The original 4 courts that were built stole parking lot space from the boaters. That is a fact. I do not want to see what happened to the lodge parking lot happen at the Eastport. And what I mean by that is we lost about 75 parking spaces back in '99 when we added 2 tennis courts that I hardly see used. Seriously, I'm in this neighborhood all the time. Same with pickleball. Very little usage. Okay, there should have been a secret analysis or study to show usage of the existing courts. Because every time I go by them, they're empty. I mean, I was working from home one day, every hour on the hour, I would drive over there and look, and nobody was there. And it was a beautiful day in November, you know. First and foremost, not a single person bought a home here in Canyon Lake because we have good pickleball. Everyone moved here because of the lake. Okay? I'd like to add that I prefer keeping term limits as they are because I think we need new ideas often because it gets stagnant. There are some committees that have had people on them for more than 10 years, and it's the same idea every single time. And it seems to be that we're picking on the members. You know, why give RFIDs and parking decals to non-residents? That was one idea. And there's many other ideas that have come up through these committees that are just really, really bad ideas. And those people are still on those committees. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And that's it.
Thank you, Chuck.
Next is Joe Commission.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Well, wasn't ready to be called right away, but again, I have multiple items and I'll try to get through them. Pickleball courts is a concern, and I was intimately involved when I was on the board. And I'm glad to see that we finally got it out to bid. And look forward to seeing those prices come in, and hopefully it can move forward. In 2017, I know they built the courts and they redesigned the parking lot to fit that. And we ended up with more parking spaces than we had before. So there's some concern as to whether the information that's out there on social media is accurate or not. And I can tell you, I was on the committee and I know for a fact that parking was increased. And now we're looking at 2 more courts, and I'm not sure that I'm even for the 2 courts, but I'm seeing a uptick in use on the courts. So I tend to believe, you know, the sport's growing and it'll continue to grow. So ultimately there will be a need, and it's not going to get any cheaper to build it 5 years from now. But until we see those prices, we'll reserve that thought. But regardless, it's not going to impact the parking. And I think that the FPC committee has done a good job analyzing that and redesigning it. And I'd like the board to consider that when it does finally come to bid. And I also don't see any need for any member to call the POA liars when in fact the reports were legitimate and the parking was increased. So I'd like to just put that whole issue behind us. I commented some time ago about the sound system here, and I have to say that it is much better. So I want to thank staff for doing that and making a sound system that we can hear and understand back there. So thank you for that. My regular statement about agenda items and comments on agenda items. I want to encourage this board to reconsider and reestablish member comments on agenda items. I think it's shortcoming by this board to not provide that. And I, for the life of me, can't figure out why. I've never had an explanation as to why that was taken away from us. And I'd like to see the board members stand up and reinstate that. The 4-year extension, I agree with all the positive things about extending the term to 4 years. There are definitely some advantages and it will save money. But I'm just concerned that someone that is considering running for the board is going to think twice and possibly not run because it's a 4-year commitment. That's a long commitment to make. I personally served 2 years and I love the term that I served. And if things were different, I would have run again, but I didn't. But to have an election every year isn't ideal. But I think that 4-year terms might work against us in the quality of board members we get. And the people who will be motivated to run for that term may be not necessarily with the best intentions.
So Joe, we did go over 3 minutes, but since Art went over 3 minutes, we let it go over 3 minutes for you. To be fair, Art, we already exceeded the 3 minutes, but I wanted to thank you for your comments.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, well, just real quick. The two items on here that don't have prices on them that are going to be addressed by the board are items we can't comment on because we don't have those prices. So I can't comment on them now, but I could comment on when it's this agenda item that's being spoken by the board. So I just wanted to bring that point out. Thank you.
Next, we have Blake Manelli.
And while he's coming up, Chuck, I would like to address your comments about the parking spaces at Eastport. If you look on the screen, prior to the pickleball project, which added 4 courts, there were 28 boat and trailer spaces. After the parking lot was restriped, there are currently 39 boat and trailer spaces. Parking was actually increased there. And the 2 new courts are going to go over in this area and not take any additional spaces. So I'll be happy to share this with you offline, but I just wanted to correct your comment.
That better? All right, my name is Blake Benelli. My track and lot is 3831234. I come to speak to the board tonight. I'm sorry, before I get there, just want to state I've lived in the community for 24 years. The past 3 as a homeowner. My grandmother was actually the lodge manager from 1974 to 1993. Her name was Marge Benelli. So with that being said, I come to you guys tonight just to speak about the planned renovation projects for the lodge and the lawn facilities that I saw go to bid in December. So far, from what I've seen, the rollout of the project, I think it's been a little unprofessional just because there's been such a limited amount of information. I've been unable to get a clear answer from anyone, and I've been asking regarding the timeline for construction coming in the year 2023. I personally have a wedding planned in April 15th for this spring. I've rented out this room and I've also rented out the lawn. I spent thousands of dollars planning this wedding. I've spent hours, countless, and I have people coming from all over the nation for this wedding. And I can't get a clear answer as to whether or not the lawn's going to be tore up or if this room's going to be under construction. I've been given alternatives. Oh, you can just have your wedding on the beach. You can have your wedding at Holiday Harbor. Oh, that's a logistical nightmare. I've already planned this whole thing. You know, caterers are coming here. So that's not going to work for me. With that being said, I'm hopeful that you guys are going to take people that have these planned events here at the lodge facilities into consideration before construction starts. I think that we need to block out a period of time where we're not going to allow people to plan things here at the facility. And that's when construction can take place, hopefully in the off season, like the winter of 2023. And hopefully soon I'll be able to get an answer from somebody as to if there is a timeline for construction and what it is. But other than that, thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much.
Next is Gilbert Mujica.
Is this for the appeal?
What's that?
Is this for the appeal that's scheduled later? 'Cause that's scheduled later.
The appeal?
The appeal is scheduled later. You're on the docket for later. Okay, thank you.
Next is Steve Liebring.
Good evening. Thank you, Eric, for putting that map up. That says a lot. And then I would just want to add to that comment that some of the history here on the pickleball courts and the Eastport design, which the facilities committee put together at the time, was like Eric said, 28 spaces, 39 now. So we increased the boat parking tremendously. But on top of that, there was only 15 spaces for vehicles. There's now 44. There were no parking spaces for golf carts. There's now 17. So we have a total of 100 spaces out in this lower level lot. And there were only 42 or 43 when we started. So we can add courts and still maintain spaces because we're efficient in what we do. And so we have a new plan, same thing. We're going to be taking out some of the golf cart spaces that we added, and we'll be relocating them to some of the unallocated space right now that's in the lot. So we won't lose any spaces. There'll still be just as many as there were before. There won't be less than 100. I guarantee that, okay? And as your facilities chairman, I'm willing to put this on the agenda for next week, and we can have Chuck or anyone else from the public who wants to come and speak on the issue. We can go through the whole issue with them point by point, and we'll bring back a full report to you for your next meeting, if that works for you. So I do want to clarify for Chuck, though, while 75 spaces may have been taken out when the 2 tennis courts were added, in the last redesign that we did with Eric and Steve, we added 99 new spaces when we put in all the landscape medians. So we captured all those back and plenty more. And the last point being about the pickleball and pickleball clubs. As you know, when we came to you in May of 2021, 18 months ago, we had 190 community members as part of the pickleball club. That number has now grown to 490. So we've increased 300 people playing pickleball. And there's, of course, there's several hundred more that are not in the club that play. So it's a large portion of the community that plays. And we think the 2 courts are fully justified. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Jack Pierce.
Jack Pierce, 3718-156. I've been an owner since 2003. I'd just like to comment on the redesign and everything going on with the lodge. First, let's go back in your estimate. You need to have some estimates in this proposal, or not to exceeds would even be better. Okay. The other part of that is I'd like to see what the profit level is right now for the restaurant and the bar. Okay. I have no problem with the idea of remodeling for replacement of things. But the other thing is making an outside patio, you know, like it's great summer. It's 106 here in the summer and nobody's sitting outside. You know, we thought that would happen when the bar expanded the first time, or 10 years ago or whatever it was. And we were going to have people sitting out on the patio. You don't see that in the summertime. You know, I think the idea, let's look at not just spending the money because we have the money, because if that's the case, go spend it on patrol, because there's certainly, if you look at all the things that are happening in the community of stolen cars and vehicles and golf carts and right out of the lots, there needs to be some address there, not just spending more money because we have it. Because when I came, it was $180 for a monthly due. And things do go up. That's true. Not a problem with that. And not a problem with replacing things that go bad. But the idea is, you know, the restaurant hasn't really been packed for years. It's gotten popular again. Thank goodness. We try to populate it and participate in it at least monthly, if not more. But there just seems to be that we've got a no-end cap to the budget. And that shouldn't be, there should be not to exceed, so for everything. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate that.
John Mitchell.
John Mitchell, 3868, lot 5. I'm just echoing what they said about the term limits. I think 4 years is a little long. I think what Art said, going maybe 4 2-year terms. If you're doing a good job, you're going to get reelected rather than we're stuck with people we don't like as a community. For the lodge, I'd rather see money spent on it to get it more user friendly in the summer. The downstairs, get a hamburger hot dog stand, do something where people are going to come up and you're going to make your money on that. You're going to sell sodas for $2 a piece. They're going to go. Summertime, I think you can make a killing down there. That space is underutilized. I don't use the top a whole lot. I'm not a full-time resident, but I've owned here 12, 13 years and it's been remodeled 3 times. I bought my home and then they closed it because it wasn't used. And then they opened it and then they remodeled it and took away stairs and fireplaces, whatever. So I would like to use it more, but I would use it a lot more in the summer if I could go get a quick lunch. And on a different note, I don't know how you go about lowering speed limits on the street. I live at the end of Longhorn down by the campground. I would love to see the speed limit go to 25 miles an hour on Longhorn, at least from Strawberry down. The campground's getting used a lot. We keep putting more things to use. People go there to get ice, they go there to get propane. Trailers are going there just to empty their trailers, for the waste. I would just like to see it slow down. I think Longhorn should be slowed down the whole way. You got baseball fields, you got the jump lagoon, you got the horses. You don't have a center divider. You don't have golf cart lanes, really. It's not safe, in my opinion. And that's it. Thank you.
Appreciate that input. Thank you.
Travis Montgomery.
Before you start the clock, I just wanted to comment on the PA system. It is nice and loud. It's almost too loud and there's a lot of feedback. So Joe and I don't disagree very often, but I do agree that it's good, but it's awfully loud back there. Travis Montgomery, 3863-010. And I didn't move here for the lake. But first, let me state that I'm disappointed, as reflected by tonight's agenda, that the board apparently took no action to be more transparent and allow members to address agenda items at the time they're considered. This will certainly be one of the criteria that I'll judge board candidates in the coming election. What I'm here to address tonight is much more important and an urgent matter. I believe that it could even be considered a matter of life and death. We have recently seen, especially since this past Christmas, a large number of electric bicycles on the streets in Canyon Lake. Seen may be a misnomer because some of them go by my house so fast that it's really just more of a flash or a blur. They are quiet and in golf cart lanes most of the time. Golf carts have a posted speed limit and an age requirement for operation. The electric bikes appear to have no speed limit or age requirement. Young children are operating them who have no knowledge of traffic laws. It's only a short matter of time before there's going to be a serious accident involving some of these vehicles that travel at speeds up to 30 miles an hour. I personally clocked a group of electric bicyclers at 27 miles per hour last week. I've seen others going faster. I urge the board to take immediate action, a special meeting if necessary, before someone is seriously injured or killed. I would guess that there are a minimum of at least 100 new electric bicycles on our streets just since Christmas. They are not being operated to assist pedaling. They are being used as electric vehicles. I believe that this board has the ability to take emergency action, and I encourage you to act before the next board meeting. Take emergency action now and hopefully avoid a tragedy in our community. And I've seen bikes on the golf course, especially hole number 17, where they race up and down it like a chicane. I don't have time to address a concern I have on item 8.9, funding for the Lighthouse Restaurant and Bar renovation. I don't know the cost of the project, and it won't be announced until after the time for public comment has been passed. When the cost is known, it will be too late for me to comment. A good example of the folly of transparency that's being practiced. Just regarding the pickleball courts, when I was in college, they started making us take classes 40% of the time in the afternoon rather than build new buildings, because everybody wanted morning classes and they were full. And so they said, let's build new buildings. Well, you had afternoons with buildings sitting empty. I'm not sure that the problem at the pickleball courts is number of courts or the time of usage. Thank you.
No
And
other
this-
comments.
No more comments. So one thing, and I think Alex will agree because I whispered it to all my other board members, because the numbers were not written down. Once the numbers are discussed and we hear from our general manager, we will allow comments from the members with regards to the lodge and patio renovation. So thank you so much for bringing that up first, Joe, and then you again, Travis, but we will allow that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. There is like a ring of there's like that echo ring. Okay, so we're gonna move to our consent agenda. Are there any items from the consent agenda that you guys would like to have pulled? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor of approving the consent agenda item, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
Thank you. We're gonna go on to item number 8.1. Director Van Vliet.
Yes, I would make the motion to discuss this board action item. Do I make a motion or? No. I was going to make, let me ask a question of procedure. Do you want me just to read it or provide commentary, or read it and then have a discussion? Thank you. I would be happy to read it and then have a motion. The proposed resolution is that the Board of Directors approve the attached bylaw amendment that is in Appendix or Exhibit A for the annual meeting of the members and election of directors ballot. What this would allow us to do is not to request a change in board director terms, but to put it on the ballot and leave it to a vote of the people.
All right, thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve having this added to our ballot?
We'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Motion dies for lack of second.
No second?
All right, we'll move on to item number 8.2. Amanda?
Okay, this is just a quick committee approval for the Security Advisory Committee. We currently have one vacancy and the committee is recommending to appoint Kathy, sorry if I say this wrong, Lekoa as the alternate. So it is recommended that the Board of Directors approve to appoint the individual listed above to the Security Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Amanda. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Five in favor, motion carried.
Thank you, Amanda. Item number 8.3, Cheryl Mitchell.
Good evening. The committee is recommending that the doc information to be updated for PC 9.5 doc application requirements to reflect some current changes. The entire section was redlined and rewritten for just a simplification purpose. The additional information has been added, such as a definition of what a fixed and adjustable ramp is in order to end the confusion on what the committee deems as an adjustable and fixed. There is no cost or fine amount. It's for informational purposes only. So it's recommended that the Board of Directors approve the rule revision for PC 9.5 doc application requirements for a 28-day reading.
Thank you, Cheryl. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any comments or discussion?
No, I guess I'd like to understand it better. What is the purpose? Why are we requesting this change, Cheryl?
For ease of read and also for the addition of the adjustable and fixed ramp that we were already going to be requesting or recommending for PC 9.4. So we decided to go ahead and put on 9.5 just so that it makes a little bit more sense. It's bullet pointed instead of elongated, and it's just a little bit more easy read.
Any other questions or comments? All right, all, do we have all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Five in favor, motion carried.
Still you, Cheryl.
So the next one is PC 9.4 for general design data and new for replacement docks. Due to the demand for larger docks, the ACC committee and staff find it necessary to update the general design data for PC 9.4. The size of the dock design needs to be updated to reflect the larger size boats and demand for larger slips. Because Canyon Lake is a small lake at 383 acres with a large part of the lake in the coves in East Bay, it is necessary to be uniform in the general design. Therefore, oversized docks cannot be requested by everyone due to navigation, surrounding docks, and especially in tight areas, coves, and maybe a problem for other members traversing the area. A master planned area, which is mentioned in the current rule, it was never intended that the ACC be the designer for the coves, marinas, or other types of styles of docks. The committee is not composed of registered engineers or licensed surveyors, so the design is up to the member and the contractor. Also, the committee is appointed volunteer group and does not have the time to develop these plans. To improve the understanding concerning docks, additional criteria has been included that the committee use in their decision-making process. The ACC makes decisions that are in the best interest of both the owner, the neighbor, which includes the ability to navigate both the coves and open lake. This again is not a fine processing, it's just for informational purposes only. So it is recommended that the Board of Directors approve the rule revision for PC 9.4 general design data for new replacement docks for a 28-day reading. If I might point out, the major change under the red line is basically just enlarging the slip, the fingers, and the overall size of the dock from the previous, what the previous design was.
Thank you, Cheryl. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
Are we reducing the length of allowed docks or any way? I know we're accounting for larger boats. Are we somehow shortening? No, okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
Thank you, Cheryl. And now we'll be back to Amanda, 8.5, 28-day reading.
This is a 28-day reading to revise the current rule LM 7.2, which is no boats permitted over 21 feet, 6 inches or 6,000 pounds. There's a typo here and I'll recommend to approve it as amended. But as the popularity of wake sports has increased, boat manufacturers have developed sophisticated ballast systems, wake plates, tabs, etc., to increase and control the size and shape of wakes. In addition, manufacturers are building boats that are progressively getting heavier, and a heavier boat will displace more water and create a larger wake. To address these concerns about excessive wakes being generated, the POA hired an environmental services professional to conduct a lake carrying capacity study to help identify if a weight limit is necessary for our lake. Based off the studies or the results of that study, the proposed rule change would have the following impact. It would establish a 5,000 pound maximum boat weight versus the current 6,000 pound limit that was established in October. And it would grandfather all the currently registered boats over 5,000 pounds until the vessel is sold, removed, or transferred to another owner. If this rule is approved, the change would have minimal to no impact on pontoon deck, ski, and fishing boats because the weights of those boats are generally pretty low. We're recommending that the Board of Directors approve the 28-day reading as amended to redline the current 6,000 pound weight limit.
Thank you, Amanda. And as a reminder, everyone, when we approved the 6,000 pound back in October, it was just to fill in the placeholder while we waited for this report to come in. So thank you, Amanda, for presenting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Just one comment. I commend Eric and the POA for commissioning this independent assessment. I think the report that was done was a very professional and thorough job and did a nice job addressing the concerns of the impact of wakes on seawalls, particularly on the main lake. And it helps us, come up with the right decision. So commend you guys on doing that report.
Any other comments or discussion on this? All right, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor of approving the 28-day read, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
This is an approval to revise rule GR 5.1M, which is failure to comply. The 28-day reading was approved last month simply to increase the fine amount for members and guests that failed to comply with community or marine patrol instructions. And that fine is raising from $50 to $100.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve? Or sorry, a motion. My apologies.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion? Any? No? All right, no discussion. Call for a vote. All in favor of approving, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
This is another approval to revise rule LM 10.2B, which is boats entering the community without a service seal. The 28-day reading was approved last month, and we recommended to add a fine amount to this rule. It didn't have one previously. And we recommended that fine be $100.
Thank you, Amanda. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of approving revised rule LM 10.2B, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
We're back to Cheryl.
Okay, so for the final rule, it's going to be for a rule approval for PC 5.1 for driveways. This is to help aid the committee in their decision-making process. The current rule required clarification on blocking the front view of the home. To improve the understanding of PC 5.10, the committee felt it necessary to revise the rule to include information on additional parking. The additional parking on the opposite side of the existing driveway, the committee has included the criteria the committee uses for additional parking and the approval process. The sentence in red indicates that the additional parking is being requested is shall be not to obstruct the front view of the home. For members that want to install additional perpendicular parking on the opposite side of the driveway, there must be at least 8 feet between the side of the home and the property line, and the plan must meet the 1/3 landscape requirements and a minimum of 18 feet between curb cuts. This again is for informational purposes only. There is no actual fine attached. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve the rule revision for PC 5.10 driveways as written.
Thank you, Cheryl. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Huh? Oh, sorry. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, I'm thinking and have a question. So, so what is the genesis of doing this? We're trying to create more parking areas for people in homes instead of, because it's not allowed in front of the house. Is that it?
That's correct. It's not really changing the rule much. It's just defining the rule a little bit more. And it's creating an ability and being able to the members to understand what they can and can't do when it comes to putting in a secondary driveway or enlarging their current driveway.
Any other discussion? All right, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor of approving the revised rule PC 5.10, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
4 in favor, 1 against, motion carried.
All right, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna fill in the blanks real quick for everybody. Eric, on page 55. This is, we're at 8.9, approval for funding for the Lighthouse Restaurant Bar renovation project. And then while we're at it, we'll go ahead and just fill in the blank for 8.10. Or your recommended amount. What we're gonna do is we're gonna allow members to make comments on that since they didn't have the numbers in advance to make comment.
So you want to just give the numbers and not go through the whole action item yet? I mean, I think they go to hand in hand, so I think I'm gonna read the whole,
love for you to-
action item with the numbers are filled out. Now that they're known and scope of work, which weren't known until this afternoon. And so there'll be a little suspense and then the numbers will be filled in. Okay. Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna kind of do this how I was gonna do this. And then we can still do the comment period. Okay, so. I'm just gonna run through quickly the condition of the lodge. This will be available this evening. We will publish a link to the results from this bid, and there will be a link to an album with these photos. There will also be a link to the next presentation that I will show everybody. So real quickly, I'm just gonna run through these photos. Sorry. This is usually Lynn's job, so I'm not that good at it. Okay. Okay, here we go. So this is a picture, all these pictures were taken today on my phone. And this is the current outdoor event space that we have at the lodge. It's basically just a lawn. The geese live there. And as you can see, even though this is prime waterfront location, basically on a peninsula in the middle of the lake, there's literally no view of the lake at present time. And so part of the, we're going to be talking about two projects. I'm going to run through the photos for both of them real quickly. And then I'll present the action item for the interior project, and then I'll present the action item for the exterior project. I also want to preface this and say the interior project was ready to go 4 or 5 years ago. And that project, I had intended to present that project on its own. And because of various delays and board decisions, it's a little bit of an unfortunate coincidence that we're approving 2 large projects in one evening, and that wasn't the original intent, but that's where we find ourselves today. So here's the where the patio and event space will be located, pretty much the front lawn. All of these trees and hedges will be coming down. This is the current location of our largest community outdoor venue, which is very often rented for weddings. Right now, to rent the entire building and the lawn is a cost of $1,275. And when we improve this event space, we expect our banquet and wedding revenue to increase a lot. A big part of the outdoor project is that retaining walls will be built here down by the sidewalk, and allowing us to flatten out this area and enlarge the lawn space towards the beach. We'll be enlarging the event area by about 20%. Another part of the interior project is this very small little room here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. This is the back bar. This area is going to double in size over to here, and we'll have an outdoor service window so that our bartending staff can serve servers and customers out a window on the new upcoming patio and event space. This door here will become a double door. Now we're talking about the inside. This is flooring inside the lodge. This flooring here, the marble flooring, despite what people say on Facebook, didn't we just remodel the lodge? Actually, no, we didn't. The lodge was built in the year 2000, 23 years ago, and this marble flooring is original, 23 years old. This wooden floor, the dance floor area, is 9 years old, and you can see it's in terrible shape. This is the marble flooring that's original to the building. It's 23 years old. Just as a reference item, we have $194,000 just for this flooring shown in our reserve study, which is our reserve fund and essentially our piggy bank. And we've been saving that $194,000 and lots of other line item monies for this project. As you can tell, the entire building is dated and 23 years old, badly in need of a facelift. The furniture and the flooring are in really bad shape. This is currently the furniture inside our bar. The bar flooring is really messed up. Here's a nice picture of our booths. Those are also original to and 23 years old, which is actually kind of remarkable. This should be the jewel of Canyon Lake, and right now it is not the jewel of Canyon Lake. This is our quote unquote private dining room. As you can see, the flooring and the furnishings pretty much speak for themselves. Another picture of our booths. Another picture of our private dining room. All of these finishes, I've been here almost 7 years. These were in badly needing replacement about 7 years ago. So I started on a project to hire a design team to help choose all the finishes together instead of just going and doing carpeting and just going and doing paint and onesie twosie things. We hired a professional to help design everything. And doing that project got delayed, and now we find ourselves 7 years later and we still haven't replaced any of these things. So that's what we're talking about tonight. This is the back bar area behind the bar where all the gun liquids and syrups come from. It's a very small area, barely functional now, definitely not functional for a larger patio and event space. Let's see what happened to my pictures here. Lost one there. Wait, another picture of the lodge flooring, current condition of the lodge flooring. This is the little back bar area and current condition of the carpeting in the bar. I'm having memory problems, I guess, because all my pictures aren't loading. Well, that's unfortunate. Anyway, there'll be an album with all these pictures. I'll see if I can get this to load while I'm reading this. Hold on a sec here. Guess not. Okay, let me cut to the chase here then. What's that? Oh. See if I can get to it. Or see if you can get to it. How's that? So these pictures are actually already on our website, and we may revert to those because I would like to go through them with you. No idea why that's not loading, but yeah, why don't you try it? Okay, so this is the Lighthouse Restaurant and Bar renovation project. A little background on this. Oh, here you go. Lynn has them now. Okay, keep going. Keep going. You can click on the furniture. Hopefully you can see this. This is a picture of some of our current furniture. We actually have 23 of those bar stools out in the lobby right now that our operations department, who's on top of things, was about to send those out and have those reupholstered for $50 a piece. Depending on what happens here tonight, we may not do that because a part of this project is also replacing all this furniture. Can you go to the next one? Next. Part of the scope of work for the interior project, you can see the wall there in the corner. Right now, that wall is blocked off. You can go to the next one. And the next. Standing there, you can see to the left, there's a great view of the lake and the pool and the rental docks from the restaurant. And while you're in the bar area and the entry, there's literally none, half of that view is obscured by this wall. So part of the redesign is that wall will be opened up with a window system in between the restaurant and the bar. Okay, go to the next one. Next. The area there going, that long diagonal wall going out to the balcony is going to be a multi-slide door so that in the spring on a beautiful day, we can open that whole wall up and you can be in the bar, but essentially enjoying the beautiful view and fresh air at the lake. Next one. Just more pictures of the cracked flooring. This is a pretty unimpressive entrance to the jewel of Canyon Lake, our lighthouse restaurant, and piano storage, very old carpeting, 23-year-old floor. So all of this would be getting a facelift. Behind the piano is the wall that will become a wall of windows, a window system. So the restaurant will be able to see into the bar and the bar will be able to see into the restaurant, and both views will go both ways. Next picture. I'm just going to say that is a fairly dated wall hanging, and I heard of a nursery school that's called the Lighthouse Nursery School, and they actually expressed some interest in that. So potential donation there. Next picture. Please look at the pictures on the internet. This distant picture doesn't really do justice to how bad the carpeting is, but this whole area is very badly in need of all of the finishes being replaced. Next picture. Same thing with the furniture and the flooring. Next. Next. And then again, just to put a cap on it, people on Facebook say, we just did that. We don't need to replace it. It's fine. Basically, our job, according to Davis Sterling, is to maintain our association. We're required to maintain repair and replacement reserve funds to do so. And this building that we're in now, This room has been renovated, but all of the rest of this, the lodge, the upstairs, the lodge has been badly neglected. And this project was started years ago and honestly, we were overdue when I got here and we're 7 years past overdue now. And this is what we're talking about. The last renovations were original 23 years ago and the latest one was 9 years ago. And I urge you to go take a walk later and look for yourselves. Okay, you can go to the presentation part now. The second file on there. Okay. So the Canyon Lake Lodge was constructed in the year 2000, 23 years ago. Many of the finishes inside this building are original and very worn and dated. The bar area was last updated in 2014, over 9 years ago. We hired an excellent design team to coordinate this repair and replacement project and give our restaurant and bar a much needed update after 2 decades of hard use. We put the project out to bid last month and bids came in on December 1st. This isn't written in the action item, but I filled in some blanks and this is a little additional information. All of this will be published, by the way. We received 6 bids and I went through those bids with the board in executive session. Those bids for the interior project range from 1.3 to $3.2 million. In addition to those prices from the general contractors, we still need to buy furniture and custom light fixtures. So add about another $140,000 plus contingency. All of the funds from this project will come from the repair and replacement reserve fund. You can go ahead and click through those. I'm going to take a drink. The reserve study, all of these funds will come from the repair and replacement reserve fund. The reserve study, which can be found on our website, lists every inventory component in the lodge, such as paint, flooring, carpeting, the bar equipment, furniture, light fixtures, etc., as individual items that need replacing with a specific life expectancy. Nearly all the items in this project have long ago exceeded their life expectancy. I want to clarify that if you look at the reserve study, we don't take the time every year, basically Steve and I, to go through and correct the remaining useful life in the reserve study on all 1,000 items in there, because really the reserve study is a 30,000-foot view looking at down at our community saying you have X number of dollars in assets and here's how much you should set aside. And that gives the board a defensible position to when they do their funding every year. We don't refer to the remaining useful life when we do replacement projects. Basically, when they're worn out or they're broken, we replace them, and that's what this project is, despite remaining useful life that may appear in the reserve study. The point is there's money set aside for all of these things. When we replace them is really up to us, not the reserve analyst who puts the numbers in the book. The Davis-Sterling Act, which governs all HOAs, requires that we maintain a reserve study and healthy reserve funds. Our boards have done a great job of this over the recent years, and the money for this project is already in the bank. The Davis-Sterling Act also requires us to maintain all of our common area amenities. We consider this one of our primary obligations. All of this helps maintain healthy property values here in Canyon Lake and helps modernize our 55-year-old community. The specific amount to be funded was determined today in executive session under contract formation. The amount for the interior bar and renovation project is $1,500,000. I want to clarify that that is a not to exceed amount that the board has given Steve and I as a guideline, and that is all encompassing, including contingency, to go out now and negotiate with all these bidders and the general contractors, exactly as we did on Vacation Park. Vacation Park, we had bids of $2.6 million. The voters approved 2.2. We went back to the contractors and we made it work. So that's kind of where we're headed. Since all of these funds are already in our repair and replacement reserve fund, no specific increase in members' dues will be because of this project. Again, and to stress this, We already have the funds saved up to do this project. Basically, instead of replacing one item here and there over the last 23 years, we are doing all of them at once as directed by an incredible design team. Just as the main gate replacement project was done all at once to modernize and improve things, we're doing the same thing here. So as of right now, the scope of work is exactly what you see and has been very public on our website for several years. The scope of work as approved has not changed. If we are required to remove some items or modify some items or value engineer some items, just like we did at Vacation Park, that process will happen transparently month to month, just like we did at Vacation Park. I'm going to go to work now with all these, with the design team and the contractors. If I have to say that the wood on the wall is too expensive, I'm going to use plywood instead of 1x8 oak. Then I will let the community know that, you know, hey, we're trying to stuff everything into this certain size box, and here's what we had to modify. As of right now, the scope of work is that. And if we make changes, we will let you know. So I guess all I have left is staff recommends that the board approve funding in the amount of $1,500,000. Very tempted to say plus a 5% contingency, but I won't. Because that's how we would normally do this. So I'm going to say, I recommend that you approve funding in the amount of $1,500,000. That's kind of right in the middle of where it's in the lower end of the middle of where our 6 bids came from. And the middle is usually where the truth is. And we could wait another year and fine tune all these things and do value engineering and then go back and have all the contractors rebid it or have a second bid and then bring it back to the board. But time is money and we've already lost 7 years. So now I have, if the board approves this, I have a pot of money, a set of plans. I have an approved permit. Our permits have expired on this project one time already. And if they expire again, the city is going to require us to start over and pay all new fees. So we don't want to do that. So we're ready to go and I'm recommending you approve the funds and now we can have a comment period.
All right, thank you, Eric, for that. What I'd like to do before we even make a motion is I'd like to first invite Joe and then Travis. And then if there's any other members that would like to comment before we make a motion and have our discussion, I'd like you to come up. Joe, you're first, since you mentioned it first, and Travis. Then I saw Jim's hand go up.
Well, thank you for this opportunity and I'll get one more dig in. This is the way it should be. So I couldn't let it go. I think it's wonderful. I think it's great and it's way overdue. And it's been a long time coming. I know for me, my involvement, but I can imagine with you and your involvement. So I'm glad to see that. The only question I have is, you mentioned the bids from 1.3 to 3.2 plus furniture and light fixtures at about 140,000. The 1.5, does that include furniture and light fixtures?
Yes, I'm going to make that work.
Okay.
And I don't know if I said this, but I'm going to now. If we had proceeded with this project when I had it ready and I think I already had a permit or it was already submitted to Plan Check 4 or 5 years ago, we probably would have done this project for about $400,000 less than we're doing it today. Time is absolutely money and any more time is only going to cost us more money.
I certainly understand that. Well, I'm pleased to see that that's included and I look forward to getting it started and getting it done. Thank you for everybody for your work.
Thank you, Joe. Travis, would you like to come up?
Just briefly, what I see is very impressive and I think it looks good. I agree with you. It's time to be done. I hope folks remember, we've done a couple things at the golf course and people said, well, those old sandboxes work. Why don't we just continue to use them and clean them up? And I say to them generally, what was wrong with your kitchen when you tore out all the counters and all the cabinets and put all brand new ones in? They worked, didn't they? And, this is kind of the same situation. We got a lot of things that work, but, we're responsible, you're responsible for keeping us up to date and keeping our investments in this community valued. And this certainly is one of the things that does that. So, I support it. One thing I did notice, you had a graphic up there that was an art thing that said CLLH. And at various times in here, it keeps referring to the lighthouse. And yet it's the lighthouse. So I hope
That is a graphic representation of a sign that is going to be there. That is not the sign that is going to be there. And I've expected that question for 5 years.
Well,
So thank you for asking that.
yeah, well,
Yes,
isn't that the way you said to ask it?
no. But yes, that it's not going to say CLLH. It's going to probably, I don't know, maybe have our Canyon Lake logo. We have a new sign at the country club that is kind of our branding. That is just a representation that there will be some signage there, but that is not the signage.
And I'm gonna add one more thing, and then I'll call you on you, Jim and Travis, because you mentioned the golf course. And we're looking at the reserves, and I was doing tons of research because these guys know I love my numbers. And I'm kind of a geek like that. And I was looking at the irrigation for the golf course, and according to the reserves, that should not have been done until 2026. But the prior board saw the opportunity to get it done because one, it needed to be done sooner than what was on there. And it was a better cost to get it done right away. And when we look where we are now, especially after hearing from Darcy and the money that's been saved and the amount of water that's been saved because of that prior board's decision was excellent. So, let's go back to your kitchen and the golf. So thank you for bringing that up. All right, Jim. And then if there's anyone, those are the faces I recognize.
I can add a little bit to this project, being 4 years on the board. So I know when it started, and I can appreciate the amount of work that went into doing this. And I'm going to say this, I can never say enough good things about Eric and his staff and what they do for this place. Now you see the value of good reserves. Our dues don't go up on this one. And the greatest thing about Canyon Lake, and when you look at the dues we pay and what we get, it's one of the best deals in California. I know there's some people who don't like to raise dues, but it does cost money. Many thanks, Eric, to you and your staff, the boards that have moved forward, and I would hope that this board approves it 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And I saw another hand raised over here first, though. No one? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anyone. And sorry, I apologize. I don't remember your name. Frank?
My name's Frank Woodman, and I was a general contractor for 45 years, building high rises and malls and big stuff. And I was always held to a timeline, and that hasn't been mentioned in this project at all. So I'd like to know what the timeline is. And most of the projects I've seen done out here run over the time that they're supposed to be done. Are we holding them, your contractor, to liquidated damages, which I always had to deal with if I was building something? I had a date to be finished. If I wasn't finished, it was $20,000 to $30,000 a day that I had to give back. And I just want to know, is this going to be in the contract so we're not running past our due date on this project?
I'm happy to answer that. We don't normally answer specific questions during comment periods, but I am a currently licensed general contractor. I ran a construction business for 25 years. Since I've been here, we have not hired a construction management firm. I write the contracts myself and they're fully vetted by our legal team. Every one of those has liquidated damages. The liquidated damages for these two projects off the top of my head are $1,000 a day. We have not yet established a schedule because we're still negotiating. When we negotiate, the draft contract that everybody bid on, I think, set the liquidated damages at $1,000 a day and a projected duration of 120 days. The way we put the request for proposals out said, one of the last items in the scope of work said that the anticipated duration is 120 days. That is negotiable, and it is negotiable. And it also depended on whether one contractor does the interior and the exterior together, because the duration could be shorter. So as I go through and negotiate with all the contractors over the next month, we're going to determine all those things. I'm going to ask for a Gantt chart from them and a schedule. And when we have a negotiated contract and a chosen contractor, I will have a schedule published. And you can get online right now and look at the RFPs and see that the contracts already spell out that we have liquidated damages and a projected duration. But when it's negotiated and executed, we will absolutely do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the members? All right, so with that, is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second? All
Second.
right, discussion.
I was gonna say, I mean, I've been on the FPC, I've been in rec. This project's been talked about for a long time. It is sad that it could have been done a couple years ago when COVID was going on. We just weren't prepared and nobody pulled the trigger. But just thank you, Eric, for putting this together and working to get all the information out there and being transparent about this.
Go ahead.
I like the vision. I think the vision is excellent. Overall, I believe we are due for an update in I'm echoing. I think the look looks very good overall. I think it will be an upgrade to our community. I do have some concerns. I've said these. One, I personally am uncomfortable allocating or approving a major capital expense before we know the full impacts on the 2023 budget and reserves and what that might happen. I know we're in budget process and I would certainly be more comfortable doing that. Also, I'm all for projects, particularly ones that provide revenue generation. And that we've been presented today with the costs, but what we haven't seen is what's the return on the investment. And so I'd be more personally comfortable if we understood the ROI on this as well.
Tim, Craig. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make a comment because I played with the numbers for the last, well, always. So in the packets and also available on the agenda, just to let everyone know, is the balance sheet and also consolidated profit and loss performance as of November 30th. You can go to any of our agendas for the regular session and go through that. So just to let you know, as of November 30th, current assets in the repair and replacement is 7.796 million. I was able to play around with all the numbers in the software that we use, and I put everything back to where I left it just to see what kind of impact, if any, would it make on the schedule, potential increases in the reserve. So how things were set up last time. And I want to thank wholeheartedly the prior boards that took the hits by getting us back on track. Members weren't happy when they had to increase the dues quite a bit, but that was to get us back on track. Because if a board decides to only fund it at half, guess what? Somewhere down the road, you kick that can, someone has to take care of it. So that was done by prior boards. So I thank them for that. And on the schedule going into this would be an increase of 85 cents per month per member. So when I played around with these numbers, there's no change in that. So that's my biggest concern. And that's why I was looking at that. And I was probably one of the most comfortable people when we were talking about numbers and contract formation, because I was doing that. Also, roughly 700,000 to 800,000 of this was already earmarked in reserves, specifically for this, like the furnishing he's talking about. That should have been purchased last year, and that was budgeted to be purchased for $85,000. So there's a lot of things that were already in there. And as my husband says, don't get into the weeds on numbers, and so does probably everyone else on the board. But I just want to let you know that I did a thorough research on that for this and the other project as well. With that, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor of approving funding of 1.5 million for the Lighthouse Restaurant and Bar renovation not to exceed 1.5 million. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
4 in favor, 1 against, motion carried.
All right, thank you. Next one.
Ready for me? Okay, I also wanted to add on the response I gave you about liquidated damages. And you made a comment about, you've noticed projects here going over duration. If that ever occurred, it's because we allowed the contractors rain days, or there were engineering or plan check issues, or we held them to liquidated damages. So our contractors are always held accountable. I just want to let you know. Okay, this project is funding for the lodge patio and event space project. The Canyon Lake Lodge was constructed in the year 2000, 23 years ago. You could probably scroll to the other one, towards the back, the end. There you go. The next picture down, yeah, start there. Okay. We have many community events such as Fiesta Day, the tree lighting, car show, etc. on the front lawn. Currently, the great view of the lake there is almost totally obscured by hedges and trees. This area is also a revenue center for us, and we host wedding and events on the lawn, and the outdoor dining we did there during the COVID-19 closures was incredibly popular. The board will be voting today on a major renovation of the interior of the Lighthouse Restaurant and Bar, which they just did. The design of that project, in particular the bar area and the service bar, were designed specifically to be able to serve a much larger front patio dining area. The project will start by removing trees and hedges. Then we will build some retaining walls. You can hold it there, right there, it's good. Yeah. On the slope between the lawn and Sunset Beach. The photo there that Lynn is showing shows where the retaining walls will be, and the orange area, it will be the additional flat area that we'll be able to use for community events, weddings, the enlarged dining area and all that. That will, taking the landscape, the trees and hedges down, and this additional flat usable area will also maximize the view of the lake. The design includes lounge seating, gas fire pits, a very large overhead shade structure. Someone mentioned it's 106 degrees here in Canyon Lake, and why are we doing this? Part of this project is a very large overhead shade structure so that we can use this area. Just like we've done at the country club, that'll include lighting for nighttime. We can include misters and try to use the best view we have in Canyon Lake year round. All the new landscaping, this will also include all new landscaping and lighting and a new bandstand wedding area with a large overhead trellis. Fiscal impact, the funds from this project will come from 2 of our reserve funds. Number 1, the repair and replacement reserve fund. The reserve study, which can be found on our website, lists every inventory component at the lodge, such as patio furniture, landscaping, irrigation, landscaping and area lighting, concrete patios, etc. Nearly all of the items in that project have long ago exceeded their life expectancy. The other reserve fund we will use for some of the new items in this project is the capital improvement fund for some of the brand new items that don't already exist in some fashion today, such as the retaining walls and the overhead trellis and shade structures. The specific amount to be funded from each fund will be determined today in executive session. It was under contract formation. Let me skip around and tell you that we received 10 bids for the outdoor project. None of them were 100% complete. Very similar to the inside project. Not all of, maybe 2 of the 6 bids we got on the interior project were 100% complete. So we're taking the amount I'm asking for here on both project is a combination of the bids we received and me plugging in the extra missing pieces that I know I have to go buy if I hire this person when he's missing these 3 things. All of that's going to happen in the next month or so. So the 10 bids we received range from $900,000 to $2 million. As I said, not all of them are complete. We still need to, with all of the bids we received, including the $900,000 bid, we still need to purchase the overhead shade structure, which is about $130,000. The footing, the 9-foot deep concrete footings for that overhead shade structure. It's a very large structure, fully engineered. The footings for that are in the general contractor's bids that we're discussing separately. The overhead structural steel and canvas portion is $130,000. It's a very big structure. And the anticipated furniture, which I've had prices for several years, those are currently being updated. There's going to be lounge furniture, tables, chairs, around the fire pits, around the dining tables. That's another anticipated $125,000. Just for reference, the chairs that you're sitting on in this room were replaced about 5 years ago when I got here. And obviously not all of them are here today, but this is $60,000 worth of chairs. So furniture isn't cheap. So if we take the bids that we got that range from 900 to 2 million, we take the shade structure and the furniture that we still need to buy. We need to have a little contingency as we go into a project like this. And the amount I requested today was $1,400,000 for the patio and event space project. Since these funds are already in our repair and replacement reserve fund and our capital improvement fund, no specific increase in members' dues will be because of this project. Again, and to stress this, we already have all the funds saved up to do this project. Basically, instead of replacing one exterior lodge item like the lawn or the sprinklers or the lighting over the last 23 years, we're doing all of them at once as directed by an incredible design team, the same design team that designed the interior project. Just as the main gate replacement project was done all at once to modernize and improve things, we're doing the same thing here. The new items will be funded from capital improvement fund, just like our vacation park was. So staff recommends that the board approve funding for the lodge, patio, and event space project in the amount of $900,000 to come from the repair and replacement reserve fund and $500,000 to come from the capital improvement fund.
Thank you, Eric. At this time, are there any members who'd like to make a comment about those numbers or before we make a motion here?
Eric,
Oh, I see a
Eric, can
hand.
you go through these slides real quick and just,
And then Jennifer, come on up.
Okay, so Lynn already showed you where the retaining walls are going to be built and the additional, can I borrow your mouse? See if this works. I'm cross mousing here. So the retaining Sunset Beach is down here. Here are the stairs up from Sunset Beach. The existing fountain is right there, that circle, okay? The entrance to the lodge is right here. The entrance to the Holiday Bay room is right here. Since I'm here, one of the items in the design is a little trellis over the entrance to the Holiday Bay room. As I negotiate through and go through the buyout process, if I have to get rid of that little trellis, it's gone. That's an easy pickings. But right now, the anticipated scope of work is what's been advertised. This is probably the 3rd time I've shown this presentation. It's all available online. Right now, our goal is to go do everything on the plans. If we have to eliminate an item like that little trellis, easy peasy. So the rest of this is the retaining walls here enlarges this whole area. I don't know why these yellow things keep popping up. This is all the new patio and event space or patio dining area. These rectangles here are propane fire pits. There'll be lounge seating around this. This big red crosshatch thing is the very large overhead shade structure. These are new planters surrounding the dining area. And this is a bandstand and a wedding, kind of a trellis. Every time we do Fiesta Day, we rent a dance floor, a very large tent. The city charges us inspection fees and permit fees for all of those things, and they have to come inspect them. Plus, we have rental costs. By building the bandstand and the trellis and all the shaded seating, will eliminate a lot of those costs on our annual repetitive events. And then all new landscaping in this area. You can go to the next one. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Where's my thing here? Okay, sorry. So can we zoom out a little bit? Hit control. I guess I can do that. I can't really do this with one hand on your computer. Okay, so here's the fountain. Here's the existing stairs. This is pretty much a topography of what's here. The new retaining walls will allow us to gain all this other space, and that was in that other slide. And then there were two options for the patio layout. This was option one with one fire pit. We're going with this option, which is two fire pits. These dotted lines right here are encompassing the overhead shade structure. So there's a very good amount of dining that will be under shade. This dining here, 4 tables, 4 tables, 4 tables, 4 tables. Those are going to be under cantilevered, very large cantilevered umbrellas. So basically all of the dining seating is going to be shaded out here by the fire pits. This is just lounge seating around a fire pit. You don't need shade at night. Probably not going to be sitting by the fire pit when it's 100. You don't really need shade there. And so that's kind of the layout for the dining area. Again, here is the patio, the bandstand where announcers, MCs, bands for Fiesta Days, weddings, all those types of things will happen there. This is the design for the overhead woven shade structure. It will be in colors kind of like this, Canyon Lake colors, but it is this crosshatch design. If anybody here has ever been to Bailey's in Old Town Temecula, they have a structure very similar to this. And that's where the inspiration for that design came from. And it's a really good looking, very effective, very nice looking shade structure. And here's a colored rendering of the whole thing. Again, you see the retaining walls down here. The old lawn area, if you follow my arrow here, all of this area will be, from here to Sunset Beach will be new usable area. This is the dining area. Again, the dotted lines show the shade structure, bandstand and event area, and all new improved landscaping, irrigation, and lighting. And again, all of these individual components are in our reserve study, and we've been saving money for this. And there's no need to raise dues for this project. We already have the money. And that's our presentation.
All right, and there was a member that wanted to speak, I believe. Come on up. You're speaking as a member, right? Okay, Jennifer Dane.
$38.69.18. The plans for both, I think, look really good. My couple concerns, and I understand that you probably can't answer these concerns, but in looking, and maybe I'm looking at the wrong place, but budget looks like we've got allocated little over $3 million within the reserves and the capital budget. So this will take almost all of that money. Is that, you're shaking your head. I just want to make sure that we have extra money in case it's needed. And just make sure, someone else had talked about return on investment and making sure that we have plans to make more money in these areas. You mentioned the wedding, being able to charge more for weddings, which I think is good, not for people planning weddings, but good for us. But just want to make sure that we're cognizant of the numbers.
Appreciate that. Do you want me to, I'll respond once the motions are made. Joe? Oh, wait, hold on 1 second, because Joe, if you want to come up, you can come up. Thank you. And then Joe?
So if I understand, you said we had $7 million in the root. So we're gonna spend 40% of that for one amenity, 3 million of the 7 million. Okay, and then also just on that, where's the playground? Are the weddings gonna be overlooking the playground? Are the kids gonna be screaming? I'm just curious. I mean. Okay, I was just curious. Okay.
When we first started talking about this project before, the question that we not have one giant wall, not only that, maybe any wall, we broke it up several years so that we had nice there. So that's another nice addition.
So are the weddings on the, what you say on the bandstand, or are they in the grass? Well, that answers my question. I can envision that.
And then the reception could be
What they rent.
when we remodel the
try to get a reservation for any of the entertainment we have at the country club. It's pretty much a sellout every weekend, and we made it a nicer place to go, and our business has increased and our revenue has increased, and we absolutely expect that to happen here with the restaurant, the bar, and the banquet and wedding revenue. So we'll definitely be seeing that. Thank you.
Joe? Paul, you'll be next.
I'm going to take full advantage of this. No, I really only have one question. I love the presentation. I love the fact that it's here, in front of us now to decide, or for in front of you to decide. Just glad to see this happening. Pardon?
It's a tough sell to do both in one night.
Yeah. Well, not for me, but because I understand the reserves, and the capital improvement fund is something a little more sensitive that we want to protect, and I don't see a big impact on that. So, but the only question I have is food service to the patio. Is that going to come across the walkway, or how is food service going to access the patio from the kitchen?
Pretty much exact. If you dined here during COVID, a lot of people did on the front walkway. Right out, the kitchen is right down the hall. And so the first door closest to the front doors that goes across that little door where I showed you, it had a small trellis designed over it. Out the kitchen, out that side door, right to the dining area. Across the front walkway, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Right here, if you can see my mouse crossing right there.
Okay, so there are people coming into the facility will be crossing, people serving food.
Yeah, but we
Which-
did that really effectively during COVID and we watched that whole traffic pattern and it absolutely worked great, so. Now the bar service, which I expect will be probably even heavier than the dining service. We have made modifications to that. The other thing about the interior space is by moving the bar, one of the reasons we moved the bar away from the wall and created a U shape was so that people can come from the kitchen or the bar area and go through the little passageway between the U-shaped bar, the bar that's now been moved away from the wall and out a pair of double doors if you go back. Yeah, so right now, where Lynn was, we're pulling this bar away from the wall and instead of U-shape attached, it's actually gonna be a square accessible by wait staff and customers from both sides. And there'll also be a little hallway from the kitchen front door out that other set of, there'll be a pair of doors now. So the access to that has basically doubled. Mostly, I would imagine the food will come straight from the kitchen out that door, but there's the capability to do both where there isn't now.
Okay, and I noticed that on the drawings that the bar shifted away from the wall. And so it utilizes seating from three sides and bar access or waitress access from one side. So I thought that was a good move. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for all the effort on this. And I fully support it. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe. And there was a hand back there. It was Paul.
Paul Hawker, 3804-052. I'm going to try to represent a lot of people that I talk to about this project or these projects, and I'm quite conflicted on exactly what's going to happen. There's a recession coming. Money's going to get tight. And, you know, having reserves is a nice thing to have during tough times. But because of the people that took the time to put the money into the reserves, it's there, and in a recession, it won't do much good. Also, inflation is coming. Inflation is going to cause this only to go up. We've seen so many times in the past people not wanting to do something because it's so expensive. Many of us have seen the same thing. We want to do something. We finally pulled the trigger, do it. And about 5 years later, we're happy as hell. We did it when we did it as things turn out. It'd be nice to have a crystal ball to see which one of these yins and yangs, it'll be the inflation, will be the recession that'll have the most impact in this. But I don't think there's any way of knowing for sure what's going to happen. The proposal is solid. It would be a great thing for the community. It would raise the pride for the people in the community. And so just from me and other people that feel like me, I'm a business person. It's probably a good time to go ahead, pull the trigger on this and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Any other member comments before we go to the board and have a motion? All right, with that, board, do I hear a motion? I'm asking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'm going to go ahead and start this conversation real quick, just to go over some of the numbers. From the reserves, as I mentioned earlier, current balance in reserves is right around 7.79 million. That doesn't account for there's 5 more months of dues. Not every member who lives here pays the dues annually. There's a lot who pay every month. So there is 5 more months worth of dues that will be allocated to the reserves. Last year, the board approved repair and replacement reserves to be $2,035,000. So there is more money coming in, just to let you know on that. For capital improvement, there's nothing currently approved and under construction for capital improvement. Therefore, we have no obligations When this board came on, the ending balance or the beginning balance for us was 1.174 million with a healthy annual contribution that the prior board gave us, which was $1 million. We still had the remaining of the pump track, but so far we have only spent, and all projects are completed, is $645,829. That means if we did not spend one single dime for the rest of the fiscal year, that we would have a total of 1.528 million and change in our capital improvement. So there is money in capital improvement to allocate if we so choose 500,000 towards this project. Also allowing us monies if there's other projects that are presented to this board before the end of fiscal year to go ahead and improve and have funding available for that. This board's been very self-conscious of making certain that there is money in there, not just for things that we may find that we want to approve, but certainly to make certain that the board, there's funds there. And also to give this board flexibility in deciding how much we want to commit to the capital improvement fund. So I welcome everyone to the budget workshop that'll be in March. So I wanted to address those funding questions. So with that, any other discussion?
Again, I'd like to, again, I think it's a great vision. Love the idea of making this a destination. I think there is an answer in trying to make this more attractive to do that. And I think taking advantage of the space outside to do that is good, particularly for weddings and such. But again, my concerns aren't on the business side, they're on the financial, or they're not on the construction side, they're on the financial side. And again, the fact that we are going to be allocating 40% of our reserves, that's our rainy day fund, and to eat up 40% in this environment is a concern to me. And again, I'd sure, while we say we will, this is kind of a field of dreams strategy. If you build it, they will come. I'd be more comfortable if I could see what the business plan is to support that return for this investment we're making.
Any other discussion? So all in favor of approving a total of 1.4 million for the outdoor patio area, 900,000 coming from repair and replacement and not to exceed, and 500,000 not to exceed coming from capital improvement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
4 in favor, 1 against, motion carried.
All right, thank you. And we're going to go on to general manager's report. Eric, who is now going to be busier than ever.
So as you know, I usually scribble my notes for my GM report during the meeting. Been kind of busy, so this will be brief. Our solar project is up and coming. You may have noticed out in the parking lot that the laydown area, contractor storage yard is larger. There's some equipment there. Some of the structural steel's here, the solar panels are here, so that's going to get started very soon. The lodge is going to be apparently a very busy place this coming winter. You saw that the board approved these 2 projects. Anticipated duration for those 2 is 4 months. There'll be a lot of updates next month if there's any changes to scope of work or duration as we negotiate and choose our contractors. We absolutely have not chosen a final contractor for either project yet. Couple things from activities. We have Country Star Frankie Ballad coming on February 11th. So that's a good Valentine's concert. That will absolutely sell out. Super excited about the English Beat is coming here May 6th. Atlanta Rhythm Section, June 17th. Deanna Carter, August 19th. Fabulous Thunderbirds, November 4th. So we actually have 5 great concerts this year. I'm super excited about that. Hopefully some of our new improvements are done and we can all come experience the new lodge and some great concerts, name brand concerts. Let's see. I don't really have anything else off the top of my head. The solar project's coming. Bids are coming in for pickleball courts. We'll talk about that later. Besides that, I'm tapped out for the day. So thanks for coming.
All right, and then I encourage everyone to look at the community patrol reports, staff reports, definitely the staff reports. There's a plethora of information in there. Again, if you're watching online, you can get that on the agenda on the website. And now we'll go ahead and move to board comments. Let's start with Alex.
All right, guys. As a former resident of Mustang Court and Christmas lights, I just want to thank the community for stepping up this last holidays. I know how much work it takes for some of these houses and how much effort it puts in there. White Wake, you guys killed it. It was amazing. Jeremy and Cheryl killed it again on their house, and also Mustang Court. So there's a lot of great lights, and bringing people to the neighborhood and come to the community that come visit you and like take them around the community and show them all the lights is pretty remarkable. So thank you for all that hard work. I also want to thank everybody got coming out tonight. I know some people are, shaking the tree and getting everybody to come out to talk about pickleball, even though it's not even on our agenda. But thanks for coming out. And I think the last thing I'm going to say, I guess this has been 5 months, 6 months, 5 months since I've been on the board. It's been super rewarding, and seeing the work. Tonight was not an easy night. Today was not an easy day. These are big projects, a lot of conversation, a lot of, us going back and forth and what do we want? What do we need? What is this community, the direction we want? It's super rewarding. This board is united. We don't have any pet projects, which is just enlightening. It's awesome. So by doing that, I've gotten a lot of questions, whether I'm going to run for the board come May, and to answer everybody, I am going to run for the board for May. So I just wanted to know, so I don't have to keep answering that question every time I run into somebody, but it's out there and open that will be running for director again. Thank you.
Bill?
I'd like to give a shout out to the yacht club. The boat parade, again, I think was one of the best we've had in at least in recent memory. And it's a perennial favorite of residents and many people that come in for that. And, I know for our family and our friends that were there, it was a great job. And I know it happened after our last board meeting, but I do want to thank the yacht club for all the work. Again, also takes a whole lot of work to do that. And then I just want to underscore the thing I started off with the announcement, and that is to encourage everyone to participate in the camera program that we've got. Just to let you know, December's been kind of a rough month for us. Overall, we've had an uptick in both crime and in vandalism. We had, I think 2 stolen vehicles, 2 stolen golf carts, and we've had 9 different houses where kids have gone and either kicked in the doors or done something. To parents, we have a lot of great teenagers in this community, so I don't want to paint everyone with a broad brush, but there are some kids that are going out and kicking indoors. And to the people who have teenagers, I just want to speak out and say, that's a very dangerous thing in this community. I know one of the members that I've spoken to that had that happen, he said when he heard it happen, he thought someone was broken in. So the first thing he did was run to go get his gun. And again, let's please speak to your kids. Let's be respectful. Let's let them know the danger that they are facing. And again, if you have a camera registration program, if you have a camera, please sign up for our program to again help our neighbors protect themselves. Thanks.
So tonight was very scary for me, because I knew I had to sit with this board and executive session this afternoon and hash out spending somewhere around, authorizing spending somewhere around $3 million. And being relatively new to the board, I thought, well, this is really something. But I spent the day with these folks hashing through the line by line and the bids we got, and Eric pretty much summarized all of that earlier. And I saw the support that we got from the citizens that showed up tonight. And it really was fairly simple for me when it comes down to it. We have the money. These improvements are long overdue. And I'm not going to call it a no-brainer because it wasn't. But I was very pleased with the process. I'm very proud of this board to be serving on it with these folks. And I look forward to the day when, not too far out, that we can all get together and look at our relatively new lodge, makeover lodge, and the new patio and all enjoy it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Tim?
Sure. I agree. Today was definitely probably my most stressful board meeting since I've been on the board. It was very difficult, a lot of money, a lot of scary thoughts there. And, but thankfully to Eric and Renee, both for all the really a lot of homework that they've done to prepare us for this. And to know that we do have the money and this stuff, like Greg says, overdue. It gave me a little more peace in my mind to make that decision to go forward with this. That being said, can't wait for it to see what we get. I do agree, the White Wake was awesome. Mustang Court was awesome. But I just loved activities and operations this year with the golf cart parade. And at the end of it at Eastport, what a great time that was. Just a huge event, and it was amazing. And I just, again, thank operations and activities for a great day. Can't leave out ACC. I love those guys. They work their heinies off for us, and I appreciate them. Thank you.
Yeah, they'll get a raise too. Oh, wait, you're volunteers. Thank you. I have several comments. I do want to thank the Yacht Club for an amazing golf cart parade. I want to thank all the members on the subcommittee that just took the ball and ran with it, did all the posting. They did it all. So I want to thank all of them for doing it and making it another special event. I also want to thank, I don't know if anyone else did, but I went to the Lodge New Year's Eve party, and it was fantastic. And I'm already looking forward to next year, renovation or not. I don't care where it's, well, no, I want it to be here and indoors because it was cold, but it was fantastic. So I want to thank Laura, who is our amazing manager, and her incredible staff. And I think one thing we always need to remember, regardless of what we're doing, if we're coming in the gates or going to the golf shop because they were open for golf, they're working and we're not for that. They're giving up their New Year's with their family. The golf course decided to stay open and they gave up their time Christmas morning with their family. So members here could golf with their family. So I really appreciate them doing that, especially, Pat didn't have to do it. There was no requirement by us to do it, but Pat chose to do it and his staff chose to do it because of their commitment to the community. So I want to thank him for that as well. Also, whenever you give a shout out to ACC, I always have to give a shout out to TWG, Tuesday Work Group, always looking for volunteers. That's every Tuesday morning. And for those who find themselves with nothing to do, there's something always going on at the Senior Center. Just go on to our POA Facebook page, look under the calendar, and you'll see events every single day. There's no reason, regardless of age or mobility, to be bored in Canyon Lake. There's something for everyone to do, including Mexican train dominoes, which is a lot of fun. And I don't know my notes on that one that I wrote. So I'll just say the last thing when it comes to inflation and return on investment. One of the things that kills me just from my background, and I'm not giving financial advice, I always have to say that because of my designation. So I'm not giving financial advice, but it kills me where we have to, for our reserves, we are required, and it's by the state too, but how conservatively we have to invest our money. And I want to say investing, I feel like we could do better if it was stuffed under a mattress, which it is not. But we can't even hedge and put like 5% into something else to try to hedge it to get a little bit more return. It's very strict. So every year, while we might be nervous to spend some money and that sits there, we continue to lose money year over year. And that's never a reason, nor would ever tell a client to go out wild and just spend money like there's no tomorrow, because there's hopefully going to be a tomorrow. But when I look at these numbers, those are things that I'm also keeping in the back of my mind. I'm also looking at, the future reserves and things that are on the docket that may or may not need to be done over the next 10 or 15 years. So I'll leave it with that. I want to thank everyone for being here. It's always great when there's more than 5. I used to say more than 1, but now I can say more than 5. So thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions or concerns, please email the board individually or collectively. We would love to hear you. With that, we're going to take a 10-minute recess, and then we'll go to our architectural appeals. All right, we're gonna go ahead and resume. I think all board members are back. We have our ACC, Tim Cook. It's okay. Tim. Tim. All right, we're gonna go ahead and resume. Oh, yay. Oh, awesome. All right, now we're on to architectural appeals. First on the list is Richard Gonzalez. Is Richard Gonzalez here? All right, so we're gonna go on to number 2, Gilbert and Mujika? Mujika.
Hey, good evening. I was actually prepared for Mr. Gonzalez, so give me just a moment here.
And we'll go back to Mr. Gonzalez and handle that at the very end, but I don't
We
want
may
them to
have the
wait.
Table on. Okay, so, Mr. Majika, go ahead and have a seat. I'm just going to go ahead and do the presentation first, and then we'll go ahead and get you in so you can do your appeals, okay? Not just yet. Yes, yes, thank you. Okay, so for the background of this, Mr. Mujika is appealing the ACC denial for an outside fireplace, which is in the side setback. The background on it is a non-permitted fireplace was found in the side setback by the inspectors during an inspection. The application and plans received and submitted for the fireplace and the other improvements were done on December 8th of 22. However, due to location of the fireplace in the side setback, which is a CC&R violation, the ACC committee does not have the authority to approve. There have been several setback violations within the community, such as this, and have come before the board in the past and have been denied due to the CC&R violations. And the improvement was to be either brought into compliance or the setback to be removed completely. Basically, there's a statement in Mr. Mujika's appeal that states that regarding PC 5.5, which is not for setbacks of structures. It is for a 1-foot allowance for a fireplace that is located in the home. The exterior of the fireplace on a new home construction allows for a 1-foot encroachment into the setback for indoor fireplaces only. So PC 5.5 rule entirely different from the different scenarios. The rule that applies for this particular one is PC 3.1C. So if we could go ahead and go to, so we can show you where the item is located. It's going to be our Exhibit 1, which is the plot plan. I have highlighted the area in which where the fireplace is at. And so at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and allow Mr. Mujika his opportunity to state his appeals.
Is that on? Okay. No, I'm coming to the board to appeal and explain why the fireplace is in the position it is. And I have some pictures. I don't know if you want to review them, and then the actual drawing of the fireplace. But what I wanted to explain is that we made every effort to put it at the 5-foot setback. Yeah, that's okay. Let's do the shade. So I mean, part of this is, we were trying to put it in the 5-foot setback based on a structure that I already have in the property that I thought was my property line, is a gazebo that's in the pictures there. And we measured from the outside of the gazebo inward, and we placed the fireplace 5 feet from that location. Turns out, they tell me now that that's not my property. Now, I was not aware that the gazebo was not totally in my property. So I don't know when you look at the pictures. So we made an effort to do it correctly. Unfortunately, either ignorance or the fact that I did not know where my property was. So basically, I'm asking for an exception based on the fact that it is already built. It's about 80% completion on it. It cannot be moved. It would have to be knocked down. So that's what I'm coming to the board with and also to mention that it is in the lower part of my property, which I am not affecting my neighbors at all, not obstructing any view of theirs. We're not in an area where it's near their property is way above because it's down the slope. And like I said, I would like to see if I could keep it. And I also brought Mike Perkins. He's my designer. I don't know if he has anything to add to that.
The only thing that I would add is on the planning compliance, PC 0.5.5 is stating that fireplaces setback encroachments. Says fireplaces can extend into the side or rear setback a maximum of 1 foot. It doesn't state whether it's a fireplace attached to the building or detached from the building.
That pertains if it's part of the house and there's a 1 foot variance for that, but it's a fireplace that's built on the house. The covenant, condition and restriction, CCNR, is very stringent. And we don't have the authority to allow anything in the 5 foot setback that's not attached to the house.
I'm curious, did the city give you a permit for that, to have the fireplace so close to your neighbor?
We had a permit to build the pool. And again, I guess here I was ignorant to the facts. My contractor had told me it was no problem to add items. And he said it wouldn't be a problem because it's hardscape, you know, and so I listened to him, and unfortunately I was given bad advice.
If I may, Mr. Majika was led astray, unfortunately, with the contractor with quite a few different things. And unfortunately, there were several items, you know, within his pool plan that was not permitted and did not have approval. Under normal circumstances, anything that we would do for what we call a variance would have to be topography. And what that really means is my neighbor has it and I can't. And that's just not the case here because it's clearly put into the setback. And so that's the reason why the committee is unable to, because it takes the vote of the community to be able to change this, the CCNRs, and that's one of our issues here. So, but yes, we do understand that Mr. Majika was unaware and it was due to the contractor. So I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out.
And if I could add, after we found out with the pool permit, we had many violations that I was again ignorant about. We went to the extent to have Mike Perkins here make many plots of the plan and everything with the survey laid in it and whatnot. And we presented it to the water district and all.
Mr.
And
Majika,
now-
that's a separate issue.
No, I know. I'm just saying that, but now everything on the pool that was not in the original permit is now approved, so again, we made every effort to try to do right again, we're not, and I wasn't trying to get away with anything. I was just ignorant, basically, not knowing the procedures or the permit policy.
Are there any questions by the board?
I was looking at the pictures and the tape measure, and it's showing, I am assuming that's the setback
Yeah.
direction. Sorry, I'm getting feedback.
Can you hit your button, turn your mic off while you?
Thank
so
you.
much.
What, I couldn't see how far it was showing. Is it 4.5 feet? What was the tape measure? What it was measuring? Is it because the property line is different than what you thought it was, is really what's causing the problem? Okay.
When we were advised by the inspector that the fireplace was possibly not 5 feet away, we went out there and using our best judgment, we figured that it was about a foot into the, it was only 4 feet away from the property line. When we, but Mr. Majika was kind enough to, he had a survey done on his property and we found out exactly 1 foot, 11 inches. So it is a problem. So that's about it. It is impossible to move. I don't know if it can be altered or what, but
again, if he would have applied for a permit, none of this would have happened. We would have told him instantly where he could and couldn't go, surveys, the whole thing.
The stairway, it's running down the right-hand side of the property there. So technically that's in EVWD property or his property? That is his property. That's, the setback of the house is correct to the property line.
correct.
Any other comments?
If the fireplace is lowered, would that help us if it's down to a 3-foot fireplace height-wise? Or is it,
I didn't hear your question. My apologies.
if we make it a structure that's down to 3 foot, would that make a difference?
That's something we couldn't determine here. That would be something you could probably come back to the committee for after tonight's meeting.
Is there guidelines in that regard?
There's a lot of guidelines, yes. And so it's not something I could answer at this point, is what I'm trying to say.
I think so I just want to make sure that I've heard it correctly. So it wasn't permitted with us. It wasn't permitted with the city. And it's less than 5 feet from the setback, which I know the city's going to have an issue, especially with it being a fireplace. It's going to be a big concern as well, correct? Okay. All right, do I hear a motion? Or is there a motion?
Motion to uphold the ACC's recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of upholding the ACC recommendation, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
I would suggest that you come back to the department and then maybe schedule a meeting with the committee to see if there's something that can be done to kind of correct the situation. Okay? Thank you. Okay, so
Next.
far.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Next is Travis Long.
All right, so for our next one, Mr. Travis Long is appealing the ACC denial for a dock that with a 72-foot long gangway/ramp. The application and plans were approved for the encroachment on May 19th of 2022 for a new aluminum dock. I'm not going to go ahead and explain all the different dimensions. I supplied the dimensions there. I just supplied them for the board to understand. And it was for a aluminum dock with 2 ramps, adjustable Trex surface, and an existing dock canopy from the old dock to be used, as well as the existing lift. It also was approved with a concrete footing on the sandy beach. The application submittal is a two-step review process, and all changes, revisions, new and repair maintenance items must be submitted to EVMWD by the department prior to the ACC review process to receive consent in order to move forward. The measurements above were submitted to EVMWD and consent was received on May 12th. Approval by the ACC was determined on May 19th. On August 23rd, the contractor called to schedule for a final inspection, and the inspection was conducted on August 25th. The inspector found the ramp was not to the approved plan. The ramp measured 72 feet in length instead of the 60 feet that it was approved for. An interim letter was sent explaining the dock and the ramp was not according to the plan, and the ramp is too long at 72 feet. The plan shows 60. The new dimensions will need to be submitted for EVMWD and ACC review. A new survey may need to be submitted. After consent was received by EVMWD, and I'm going to explain what consent means. Consent is not an approval for the encroachment. Consent is approval to move forward with the ACC review. A lot of times it's misunderstood that EVMWD gives consent and it's okay. The committee reviewed the new plan and denied the application, stating that the leading edge of the dock or the portion of the dock closest to the shoreline shall be set at 1372 MSL contour. The ramp must be reduced to 60 feet as per the plan that was approved on May 19th. The comment in the members' appeal that they discovered shortly after the plans were approved and the ramp gangway length was too short in order to comply with 1372 MSL, the contractor told Mr. Long that it would be no problem to submit a change to the plan after the build. This is simply not true. Each time an encroachment is not built according to the approved plan and vetted by both EVMWD and ACC committee, it jeopardizes the shore zone agreement. It appears to both the ACC committee and staff that not building according to the plan happens more often than not and needs to stop. It appears that there is a total disregard for the rules, regulations, and legal agreements that are in place. So at this current time, I've listed all of the different PC codes that needed to be complied with. And I also stated in here that staff recommended that the board of directors uphold the ACC committee's decision to deny the members' appeal to keep the ramp length as submitted. Staff further recommends that the application be submitted to correct the ramp length because EVMWD will need to be informed and consent must be received prior to the correction. What I'm going to do before I'm going to have Mr. Long go ahead and state his appeal, I'm going to have John explain the 1372 when the committee went out there to do their take on it and where the 1372 was.
When a new dock is proposed, the committee goes out in the morning on a Thursday morning and we actually measure to find out where 1372 is. On this particular plan, we just went out there, we measured 60 feet out from where we thought the new position was going to be on the shoreline because it is, does not have a seawall. So we measured out about 60 feet, took a measurement, and 1372 was right there. 1372 feet MSL stands for the elevation of the lake bottom. 0 feet MSL is sea level. MSL stands for mean sea level. So 0 feet is, like I say, the sea level. At 1372, we're 1,372 feet above the sea level. That is the ocean. In this particular case, we did go out there, measured previously. We agreed with them that it was 60 feet out. When we, and so the plan, the contractor, I assume, went out there, he had measured and he says it needs to be 60 feet out. So we agreed to that and accepted his plan. The next thing we were told was that the ramp was 72 feet long. It's 2 sections, 30 even, so 36 feet in length. They're tied together. It's quite a long, lengthy piece of aluminum for a ramp. So total distance when we measured it was, we went out 60 feet. The inspector advised us that they had measured it was at 60 feet out. It was 1372 when, at 60 feet. So when we went out there, we were out there the first time after the inspector. And then we went out one other time just when we understood he was going to appeal. And we did the measurement again and we found the same situation. That's 60 feet out is where 1372 is located. My understanding is that when an ad hoc committee was formed in 1960 to get approval from the water company for, 1970, 69 or 70, they got approval for the for what we have in the waterfront section. That whole section was written by an ad hoc committee that was from the POA and the water company. And I understand that the lawyers got involved at the end to make sure everything was right. They set that, the water company set that point as that no dock, the face of no dock should be any further out than 1372, so that when you look down a shoreline, all the docks are kind of evenly spaced. And it is different. The shoreline we have found is not necessarily equal in all places. So you'll find some docks are further out along the shoreline and some are closer in because of the water depth. So I think that's about it as far as what I've said. So that's how it's established. It's established and it's been always in that way in existence. And it has nothing to do with the length of the dock, the size of the dock, or anything else. It has to do with the position on the floor of the lake at 1372.
Okay, also just before we go ahead and give Mr. Long his opportunity, I wanted to point out that in exhibit number 2 is the resubmittal of the new plan and the new location at 72 feet. And exhibit number 6 is the original one that was approved, and you can see where it was stamped. So I just wanted to use those two as references for Mr. Long. Thank you.
In the interest of brevity, John and I actually go out with a plumb bob and we actually take depth soundings that we get that day from EVMWB. But that's how we check to see where 1372 plus 6 plus 5, whatever the lake is at the time. And when we measured the dock, we measured it twice. 1372 was in fact at 60 feet and at 72 feet.
And
But the permit from EVMWD and ACC planning compliance was for a 60-foot ramp, not 72.
Doesn't the rule also say that it's at the leading edge, though?
Correct.
yes.
Affirm.
And then if you look at the overview, and then Mr. Long also supplied a lot of pictures that are in the board report as well. He can actually explain. So go ahead, sorry.
Thanks. And yeah, there's a lot to address here, but the plan that she said on page 6 there, that was the original one submitted. And then before final assembly and install, the builder remeasured and said it needed to be 72 feet to be at the 1372 water line. On page 3 there, I had a different independent person go measure from the 60 foot. I know it's difficult to understand or look at this chart, but from 60 foot out to 72 foot, it actually go, the difference in depth is 1 foot, which I'm saying it's not level for 12 feet from 60 foot to 72 foot. It just isn't. It's 1 foot difference. And I mean, not only would that make it not comply with 1372, but then during summer with the low water level, I can't get my boat off the boat lift. And I submitted pictures to try and help point out that with Roadrunner dock there, and then all the other docks down the East Bay, various pictures, they're all in line right there at that 1372. And I know they said that the water line slopes, which on page 6 compared to page 2, unfortunately, I'm now noticing that
the concrete footing is actually further to the right on my property, which is where the water slopes. And also on page 6, the 1372 water line is not at the front part of the dock. It's a little bit further back. And so I think combine that with it to the right, you know, it needed to be 72 feet of gangway to be at 1372. And so I understand now that I needed to submit those plans before the builder told me it would be no problem to appeal. I got tagged with a $500 fine for that, which is unfortunate, but that's fine. What I'm here today to argue is the water measurement at 60 feet is not 1372 feet MSL. If it was, my dock would be so much further up, you know, 12 feet further up. And I put X's in all those other docks because they're all on wheels, just like my old dock was. That's why this is a little difficult, because we didn't have a previous fixed dock to just replace and use the same plans. My old dock was damaged beyond repair, so I had to apply for this new one. I don't know, it cannot be 12 feet further up and still comply with the 1372 water line. So I know he's smiling at me, but I just don't know how else to prove that other than I hired a photographer for the photos. I had the surveyor go back out and paid for a new survey, which is on page 2. And yeah, I'm at a loss as where to go if this does not work out in my favor.
Any questions from the board?
Were any soundings taken at further down the beach? At some of those other ones, because it does look like it's in line with some of the ones that are further east of him, and even at Roadrunner.
It's hard to determine that because then you also have the adjustable and fixed ramps. So you don't know where they're currently sitting at the time. So it's really tough to gauge it, but based off of where they're currently located. It's my understanding that we have 2 surveys and 2 surveys done by the same surveyor that we have submitted. And both of them say 1372 contour. So it is also my understanding that that 1372 contour starts at the 60 and goes out. And that's how they were able to arrive at the 1372 at 60 feet. But it's also our understanding of the rule where it basically states that it must be at the leading edge.
Mr. Long, question for you. On your old dock, did you have a problem getting your boat off lift or anything like that? Because the picture shows on your, with your old lift that it was quite a bit further inside that one.
I did. My old lift was on wheels, so it moved up and down, but it only had a 20-foot gangway. I mean, if I had a problem, you know, I would just have to roll it further out. I'm not sure if that answered.
Yeah, I understand it's adjustable. That's fine. I have
Well, and
an
that's
I have an
why-
adjustable dock, so I understand that, but I'm just questioning. I'm just looking at the images that you provided in number 1. And in that image, it's the same as all the rest of them. It's further in towards shore. I'm just asking, did you have a problem getting your boat off a dock when it was that close to the shore at this one's, or your neighbors for that matter?
So the water line there, that looks like a winter photo. During summer, my dock would be out right where Roadrunner is. I mean, you know, I would have 50, 60 feet of beach. So that's why on those other photos, I put an X through all the ones that are on wheels, because as she said, it's not relevant to where the water line is because they move.
Any other questions? Everyone's in deep thought on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and call for a motion then.
Motion to uphold the ACC's recommendation.
There's,
Second.
all in favor of upholding the ACC recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye. Sorry. I, not opposed.
5 in favor, motion carried.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Comments on that? So, we are upholding the ACC decision. I don't know if you have any comments on that, Cheryl?
Yes, so what I would, at this point in time, since the committee's decision has been upheld, you'll have to pull out another permit to put it back to the 60. So please do that prior to making that move.
All right, sorry about that. All right, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Sorry, Madam President, we have still go over the
Oh, my
first one that
goodness,
we.
thank you. So excited. All right, so we're gonna go over, thank you. Richard Gonzalez, still not here. Richard Gonzalez? No? All right. Cheryl?
We table it until, yeah, this will be the second time it's been tabled.
Motion to table.
How many
Well, it was postponed once and now it's a table today, so Harmony.
I'm trying to recall the rule on, I know you get one postponement for IDR. I don't recall for
I would
ACC
say-
appeals.
Let's let them, we'll contact them tomorrow and maybe reschedule for February.
All right, so is there a motion to table?
I believe Director Van Vliet made a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of tabling? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 in favor, 1 against, motion carried.
All right. Now that's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, that's quick. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned, thank you.